Can Thailand defeat its southern insurgency? While the country is renowned for its stunning scenery and rich cultural heritage, which attract tourists from all over the world, for over 20 years it's been embroiled in a brutal and bloody conflict that's claimed thousands of lives. But while efforts to reach a settlement continue, many question whether peace in the region is really achievable. So, what exactly drives the violence, and why does it remain so difficult to resolve? Hello and welcome. My name is James Ker-Lindsay, and here I take an informed look at international relations, conflict and security. Conflicts take many different forms. While some are prominent interstate wars that attract global attention, many others remain hidden, long-lasting, low-level local rebellions that seldom feature in international headlines. Yet, these insurgencies can also have devastating effects. Besides leading to widespread death and destruction, they can devastate local communities and weaken the authority of the state. However, such insurgencies are also notoriously difficult to suppress. The South Thailand insurgency is a very good case in point. For more than 20 years, the Thai government has tried to suppress a rebellion that, according to estimates, has resulted in nearly 25,000 attacks, almost 8,000 deaths, and over 14,000 injuries. But while the government has employed various tactics to defeat the rebels, the fighting still continues. Thailand is located in Southeast Asia. Covering approximately 513,000 square kilometres or around 198,000 square miles, it borders Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia and Malaysia. Its population is approximately 70 million. However, while most are ethnic Thais and predominantly Buddhist in religion, in the southern provinces of Pattani, Yala and Narathiwat, which border Malaysia, the large majority are Muslim Malays. Numbering around 1.8 million, they make up around 2.5% of Thailand's entire population. Culturally distinct from the rest of Thailand, the community has long argued that they've not only faced systematic economic and political discrimination, but they've also been subjected to policies promoting the Thai language and institutions that many argue amount to assimilation. And it's all this that lies at the heart of the region's current insurgency. The roots of the conflict can be traced back many centuries. Historically, the provinces at the heart of today's insurgency were part of the independent Sultanate of Pattani, a significant regional trading centre that emerged in the 16th century. Although the Sultanate shared strong cultural, linguistic and religious ties with the Muslim Malay territories to its south, it gradually came under the political control of Siam, now known as Thailand. This was confirmed in 1826 when Britain, which had become the predominant colonial power over the Malay kingdoms, signed a treaty officially recognising Thai claims to Pattani. While Thailand initially allowed the region to keep its own sultan, who continued to enjoy significant autonomy throughout the 19th century, this arrangement ended in 1909 when Pattani's separate political status was abolished, the monarchy was deposed and the territory was formally annexed. Over the decades that followed, Thailand steadily began to assimilate the local population, taking steps to promote the Thai language and culture and Buddhism at the expense of Malay Muslim identity and traditions. As this led to growing local resentment, armed resistance movements occasionally emerged. However, for the most part, these tended to be relatively low level and were usually easily quelled by Thai security forces operating alongside local peace-building initiatives. However, all this changed following the turn of the millennium. Under Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, the government decided to change course. Arguing that it was overly bureaucratic and expensive, he closed down the Southern Border Province's Administrative Centre, a government body established in the 1980s to address local grievances and provide a bridge between the central government in Bangkok and the local communities. At the same time, believing that a tougher approach was needed, Shinawatra centralised control over the police and army in the area, instead vowing to take a much more heavy-handed, militarised approach to uprisings in the region. And it was against this backdrop that the modern phase of the insurgency began in 2004 when rebels attacked a military base in Narathiwat province, seizing a large cache of weapons and ammunition, including assault rifles, shotguns and pistols. In response, the government launched another crackdown, leading to various reprisals and mass arrests. From there, matters quickly escalated, taking a dramatic turn later that year when around 80 Muslim protesters died in military custody after being detained and transported in overcrowded trucks. At the core of the uprising was a group called Barisan Revolusi Nasional, the BRN, or National Revolutionary Front, openly calling for the liberation of Pattani and the formation of a separate Muslim Malay homeland. The group first appeared in the 1960s. However, unlike other armed movements that declined in the 1980s and 90s following government crackdowns, the BRN adapted its tactics, shifting to a more decentralised structure that made it more difficult for Thai authorities to dismantle it. As a result, the group's military wing, BRN Coordinate, became increasingly active, conducting numerous bombings, assassination and ambushes across the region, often funding its operations through crime, smuggling and extortion. But while the BRN was at the forefront of the insurgency, it certainly wasn't the only group involved. Several other separatist and militant organisations, such as the Pattani United Liberation Organisation and the Pattani Islamic Mujahideen movement, also emerged. Although, crucially, there's never been any evidence of links between these groups and international Islamist militant organisations, such as ISIS or Al-Qaeda. Instead, the sense has always been that the conflict has been a very localised insurgency. However, while these groups have often operated alongside the BRN, internal rivalries, differing objectives and coordination issues have prevented the formation of a single unified leadership guiding the insurgency. That said, despite their profound ideological and other differences, the various groups have always shared common grievances about economic and political marginalisation, cultural suppression and abuses by the Thai security forces. As a result of all this, over the following years, Thai government approaches began to evolve as it tried to tackle the insurgency using various other approaches, albeit with limited success. While some administrations continued to emphasise military crackdowns, others focused on social and economic initiatives to address local grievances. Negotiations also took place. One of the most notable peace efforts occurred in 2013 when the Thai government began formal talks with the BRN. These were held with Malaysia's support, which, while strongly denying any involvement in supporting the insurgency, has nevertheless tended to tread a careful and neutral path on the issue. But despite hopes that the negotiations would yield positive results, they eventually stalled due to fundamental disagreements over key issues of autonomy, governance and security arrangements. As a result, since then, intermittent talks have continued, but progress has been slow, and the risk of increased violence continues to be high. Indeed, reports emerging from the region suggest that 2025 has in fact seen a rise in the number of attacks. I hope you're finding this helpful. If so, please consider giving it a like and perhaps subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. It all really helps. Thanks so much, and now back to the video. Overall, the South Thailand insurgency remains one of Southeast Asia's most persistent and bloody conflicts. Now in its third decade, it's claimed thousands of lives and caused significant economic, political and social disruption. Furthermore, while the Thai government has attempted a combination of military force, economic development, limited cultural concessions and direct negotiations, the conflict continues to simmer. All of this highlights how difficult it can be to resolve insurgencies. As for the next steps, it's clear that the conflict resists simple solutions. Rooted in grievances related to history, identity and social, political and economic exclusion, the past 30 years have repeatedly demonstrated that a sustainable resolution will require more than security measures alone. It'll need actions that explicitly recognise the distinct identity of the southern provinces. This will almost certainly involve some form of autonomy. The question remains whether Thailand can accept this or will perceive it as a fundamental threat to national unity. However, all this said, an agreement obviously goes both ways. It'll also require support from the insurgents. And it's here that the picture becomes even more confused. While some groups and factions may be interested in a negotiated settlement, many suspect that others have little genuine desire to resolve the conflict in this way. Instead, they prefer to prolong the struggle, wear down the state, and press for complete separation. But either way, the conflict still continues. Although it stays largely hidden from the outside world, those living in the affected provinces see a very different reality. It's far from a forgotten war. But while violence is an ongoing and unavoidable presence that brings death and destruction, sadly, there appears to be little hope it'll end anytime soon. I hope you found that useful. If so, here are some more videos that you may find helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next video.